All right. Good evening, my people. Good evening. And we would like to thank you all for coming for this part 2 episode of Facts Over Feeling. We are going to do a little something different tonight. As you can see, we are set up a little differently tonight, how we are seated. And we're going to do this debate style episode tonight again. I'm going to just read off a couple of things so that we kind of everybody knows where we're going and how we're going to be doing it tonight. Roll up here. And before I start to, I just would like to highlight something. Today is January 6th. It is the anniversary of the January 6th riots, where a whole bunch of white folks was mad that their orange Jesus did not win the election and came and stormed the United States Capitol, killing and beating police officers for over 4 hours for the world to see. Just would like to make sure that's highlighted, since they love to whitewash history and pick and choose what gets put on and what gets highlighted. I want to make sure that we always remember that a sitting president of these United States committed a treasonous act on his country on January 6, 2021, and the whole world saw it, and they want us to just forget about it. But I just like to highlight that. So our rules for tonight are each participant here will have 30 seconds to answer. No monologues. Yes or no questions are required. Answers are required first. Then you can explain. Your person will have a direct responsibility, meaning what did your party do or fail to do in answer to that question. No blaming other parties unless paired with your own failure, your own party's failure, I should say. If you start to deflect, your microphone will get cut, and someone is already ready for their microphone to get muted because they just ready to go. And receipts do matter. Vague language is challenged immediately. So we just want to make sure we're answering the questions, and we're getting through this with as much as information, correct information, being passed along as possible. And all the participants have agreed, except for our in-house MAGA person. He's kind of on the fence there, but you know, that's what they do. They love to climb fences and walls and stuff like that, as we've seen. But I'm trying to be unbiased, but I can't. It's hard, y'all. I'm trying. I'll be trying, but you know, this is what they do. But we're going to go ahead and start. So we do have Mr. Orlando Owens here, who is our in-house Black MAGA person, loud and proud about it too. Bless his heart. We have Mr. Jordan Roman, who is our in-house Democrat as well, who caucuses with independents, and he's got his fraternity stuff on today. You guys had some special anniversary today, correct?
No.
Not today?
Not today.
That wasn't today.
Our anniversary, or our Founders Day, is December 4th.
December 4th. Okay. So it passed.
Yeah.
I thought there was something going on today special. No? Thought I saw something.
If there probably is, but I don't know.
Okay. Well, I know a few alphas myself, so you guys are some good folks, good peoples. The alphas that I do know, good folks. And then we got Mr. Stacy Smider, man. Oh, he's doing some great things in the community, y'all. Doing some great things. He's finally officially on the ballot today for county supervisor in District 7. He officially got on there. So we want to give him his props. It takes a lot to run for office. I tell folks that. And he's doing a wonderful job. He got on there. And just remember in April to vote. Come out and vote. For those of us that live in District 7, come on out and vote. This is our chance. And this is our time to really speak up for those issues in our community.
Yes, sir.
So, I'm going to ask a couple of questions, and the questions are going to be framed to each person we have seated here this evening. As you know, we got the Republican, Democrat, but he's going to caucus with independents, so he'll be kind of flip-flopping a little bit to give us some
Republican side whatsoever.
Well, just to give us some balance. Give us a little bit of
guys some balance and give you the impartial. Just a regular Black resident of Milwaukee.
You know what? I love that. Yes, that's fair. I like that.
We tired of these parties,
man. We are actually tired of the parties.
Yes,
I would agree.
Yes, totally.
Would you agree with that?
Tired of the parties?
You're tired of the parties.
No, I'm tired of the policies.
Okay.
You're tired of the policies?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. That's. I hate to say it, but I'm gonna give you that. I'm gonna give you that.
Country, so
I'm gonna give you that.
with somebody.
I give you that. I give you
All
that.
right, I think there's agreement among that sentiment. Then.
It is. It is.
Because we ain't been getting nothing done if you really think about it.
True.
Nothing been getting done because we so focused on who policy is more important.
And yeah.
Then we got some crazy ass policies.
Yeah. So our first question tonight speaks on education. And it pertains to Black students here in Wisconsin. And the question here is, do Black students in Wisconsin receive an equal quality of education today? And the follow-ups that I'm going to give you guys are party specific, but I am going to start off with Jordan.
Yep.
With that question. So again, do Black students in Wisconsin receive an equal quality of education today? Yes or no?
I would say upfront, no.
Okay.
Are we elaborating or are we just saying?
Yeah, actually, yes. I would like you to actually elaborate on that.
All right. So you have to think in the context of the population of Black people and how we are centered into urban cities, or specifically Milwaukee. It's highly populated and impoverished. So the way that the funding is structured now, it means that Black people, which is because we're centered into the center cities, have less access to the amount of money that's going to give them equitable educational outcomes. So as opposed to like a Waukesha or outside districts where they have more money that can go freely to different programs within the educational system, Milwaukee is hampered because it's dealing with the most amount of students, the most impoverished students, has the most facilities, has the most staff, has the biggest, does have the biggest tax base. So there's different factors, economic factors that contribute to actual Black students getting less of the money that is needed to actually create quality outcomes in education.
Okay. I like that. I like that answer. Orlando?
What's the question, Mr. Rodriguez?
Do Black students in Wisconsin receive an equal quality of education today? Yes or no?
I would say no.
You say no as well. Okay,
I
why do you say no?
Because I look at the per pupil cost for students. I look at the way we teach in MPS, public schools. That's what most of Black students are. I look at the incentive structures for teachers to teach. I look at the barriers that the teachers union put on teachers to perform. They don't support merit-based pay. You take the incentive for great teachers to be great, and you water them down to be as okay as an okay teacher, when they really should be having a lot more forefront as far as their ability to motivate and connect with young students. I think you look at how MPS is just dealing with a lot of issues that a school can never really face when you don't have parental buy-in. And so I would say, yes, they have the most challenges as far as being educated with all the outside factors, from drugs, from fighting, from discipline, from broken homes. So the education question is much deeper than just, yes or no for me, but clearly yes.
Okay. Stacey?
No, I don't believe Black students in Wisconsin is receiving equal quality in education.
And why do you say that?
Our situation is less capable. The reason why I say that is because education is quality. It's shaped long before a child enters school. It's housing, segregation, school funding formulas, the way that how our school formula is set up for NPS students compared to other schools in other suburban areas or in other towns for that matter. And inconsistency, we don't have accountability. I'm a firm believer that any public institution, whether private, choice, or any of that, if you're receiving federal funding, definitely should be behind oversight, definitely pinpointing how you're doing. And also too, like Brother Owen said here, even though this is the first of me agreeing with him, parents' choice. I do believe parents' choice.
Okay.
in a
Okay.
matter of how their kids get their education. And I think we tend to come away from that. We have everyone else telling us what's best for our kids, whether it's the Democratic side or whether it's the Republican side. But in actuality, the parents seeing is that's who we are always going to revert back to anyways.
Mhm.
We should definitely have a choice in that. And you can see that we don't have a choice in any of the decisions being made in Madison, locally, or at the school board level.
Mhm.
So no, I do not agree that black Wisconsin students getting equal or quality education compared to the rest.
Okay. Good answer. In keeping with that same,
You do notice everybody agreed.
yeah,
Yeah, good.
Yeah, it's true because it's truth in
Yeah,
that, you know,
yeah.
and I'm
and
just
that's a
glad-
fact, Jack.
right?
Yeah.
It's truth in it, and I'm glad we all can sit here and admit that. Yeah,
So I
we
hope
know
we
we
can
know.
all, I hope we can all come to some idea on how to fix it. But the next question, Mr. Mike.
Well, see, he already, I told y'all he was going. I told you he was going to be it. I knew it. I knew it.
You like how he slid that one in, right?
You did. Which I honestly though that I can't believe I'm agreeing with you again tonight. Let's bring something.
Mhm.
That is a good question. Is how do we fix?
Yeah.
What is some good solutions onto, because we know what the problem is. We stated what the problem. We see what the problem is. How to fix it. But in keeping with this same concept here, for Jordan, this question is for you. It says Milwaukee has been under Democratic leadership for decades.
Mhm.
Why are Black graduation rates still among the lowest in the state?
Wow. You know, it's to everyone's point, it's a broader problem, right? And we can't, it's not something that we can fix from here, we fix it there. I think beyond the educational piece is, it's there's external factors such as poverty, such as, to your point, Orlando, around the parent involvement, the community structure, different areas or different obstacles that prevent Black students from having that success in high school level, right? I think the biggest thing is poverty. So as last time we talked about ways to reduce that and whatnot, but I think the biggest thing is we need to figure out a way where students have all the resources they need to feel comfortable going to school, whether that is eliminating hunger so that students are coming to school not hungry. And at the high school level, we need to look at what are some incentives for these older students to have around what does their career path and trajectory look like? Is it the military? Is it different job industries? What kind of pipelining programs are there that's going to give students a desire to want to go there? And ideally, the world has just changed so much. And I feel like as a country, we're still doing things that we've been doing for so long that are just obsolete. And our students notice that, and they see like a Japan and a China and different countries doing new innovative things. And we don't have the educational programs to support that and to help them do that. So it's a lot of factors. It needs to change, but I think the biggest piece to answer that point is the poverty issue. And then there is some issue around personal responsibility. We have a lot of crime. We have a generation of kids who, for whatever reason, has just lost what personal responsibility is in school. And how do we get them to value their education and value their future? Because right now, what we're seeing, a whole generation who are just seeing what's on the streets, are in the street life, are part of that life, and don't have any real vehicles or role models or a pathway to see something different.
Next question along that same line is, can you name one Democratic education policy in Wisconsin that has measurably closed the Black achievement gap? If you can't or can't think of one, you can just say.
Yeah, I mean, a specific policy, not off the top of my head, but as you look around educational programming, I don't know if this program is still there. Actually, I think it's gone now. They used to have the Black and Latino Male Achievement Program, BLMA, Black Latino Male Achievement Program.
Okay.
And that was a program specifically for young Black and Brown students at the high school level like a mentorship program where they were bringing in mentors such as myself and other people around the community who were helping them around literacy, helping them with math, coming to the schools once or twice a month, or if they have an individual mentor on a weekly basis or daily basis, to work with them one-on-one to instill those values, show a role model, to show them that there's a way to do stuff. And then what that program ultimately did too was give them a pathway to success, but then also gave them an ability to work side by side or be mentored by someone in the community who's doing something, who can show them, hey, I'm a lawyer. You want to come and be a lawyer? This is what you have to do. This is the pathway to do that. So I think that is a program that did show a lot of successes. Now, if it actually reduced or increased the reading level of NPS, I don't know. There's different programs. I used to work at the Boys and Girls Club. We had, I guess this is a policy. What is 21 Century 21 something, which was a program that they instilled for after school programs that actually worked on literacy and math programs. That was something that they instilled in schools across the city to be that extra help that they can have after school, which I think actually did reduce not reduce, but increase some of the reading levels across the city.
Okay. In addition to that program, Stacey, you work with a similar program that goes inside of NPS.
I volunteer with Secure Futures, teaching
Secure Futures.
financial literacy at Madison High School and at Tanner.
Madhouse alumni right here.
Madhouse,
have to
baby.
Ofo. Yeah, but okay. So to your question, Jordan, some of those programs are still out.
Yeah, some of those programs are out, but again, it goes to the funding piece, and it's not just the funding from the government. It's what are the organizations doing, right? Their bottom line has been hit so much. I can just speak for the Boys and Girls Club. The bottom line was strained so much over the last few years because of the pandemic and because of other factors. They had to make some economic decisions or business decisions around if they can even afford to offer some of those programs. So it's not just, hey, the government is supposed to provide funding. It's what are we doing from foundation support? What are we doing from philanthropic support? What are we doing from some of those private industries who have used to funnel money into those systems that pull all that money out, which is a real thing that's been happening since the pandemic.
Okay. Last question. Why are
Me?
Yes, sir.
Oh, this is a lot for me.
Yeah. Oh, I got 3 each.
Okay.
Why are predominantly Black schools still underfunded despite Democratic control of urban school boards?
People don't understand the funding is what the funding is, but the school board, they have ultimate purse power of what it is, but that money comes from the state, right? If the state does not give enough money to support a baseline of what the educational programs in, then we're not going to be successful. So there has to be ways that we figure out a way to either reduce costs or to reduce the types of programs that we're offering, but in a way that's equitable for people to have quality access to those different things. What you can't do is what has been happening is just take out all the funding altogether and leaving the same baseline of people who need baseline services like that. That to me, the math doesn't math that way. So people need to understand that funding is as not as easy as, oh, we don't have enough money in the school. We have to figure out why. What does the structure look like? What does the tax code look like? How is the state and federal funding bringing in money, and what does that look like? And until we get a better handle on that as a community, then we're going to continue having these issues.
Thank you for your response, Mr. Jordan. So to our in-house Republican here, questions for you, sir.
Same questions.
No, different questions, actually. It's a little different. He was ready. He was ready. Y'all saw that, right? Y'all saw he was ready. Same questions. Oh, yeah.
I was ready for those questions.
Okay. So for you, sir, it says Republicans often oppose increased public school funding. How does that help Black students in Milwaukee specifically?
Excuse me?
No, yeah, he did not.
I would like to have. Oh, okay.
They can't hear me, so.
Okay.
Yeah, so we want to highlight that in Jordan's response, he did not put down any other party. He didn't say it was this party's fault. That's why. This is why. He put the onus back on some of the organizations, especially for funding, because I do believe that it does kind of start there. What are you doing for yourself? To as a foundational piece to keep these things going, because everything you can't just blame everybody for. it has to
thank you.
start somewhere within too, as a company. But yes. So we're gonna ask this question again for Mr. Orlando. He's twitching over here, so he's ready. Republicans often oppose increased public school funding. How does that help Black students in Milwaukee specifically?
So I don't think Republicans are adverse to increased funding.
You don't?
I don't believe we are adverse. So my first point is, I guess, no.
Okay.
Here's the why. I don't believe Republicans are against increased school funding. We are concerned about where the current funding is being spent and how it's being spent. And if we don't have a handle on it and see the results of it, then we question the fact, is this a money issue and a funding issue, or are there other issues involved? And clearly there's other issues involved, because NPS has, not only that, they get receiving funds from the federal, from the state, they also have their own budget that you all know about the referendums. So they also have their own funding source. And so with all the money coming in, the question is, how effective is the money being spent? So it's not that we're adverse to it. I think there is a hard case to sell when you don't see results. People say to give you more, because I think that'll be hard for anybody to say, give me more, and we don't see the results happening. We see in your opening about all the statistics that happened. And so that's where we are, I would say.
Okay, so in a little bit of an addendum to that question, so you're saying that Republicans in our Wisconsin State Legislature, they don't oppose this, but the reason why you guys don't vote for more funding is because you want more accountability of where the money
results. I think, let me also be clear, I don't speak for the whole, I speak for me as a Republican, right? So I can't say what Republicans are not, Robin Voss and the whole Republican Party. But in my interactions, these are the conversations we have about the accountability piece and also the results piece. If we showed more results, naturally, anybody who said that program is actually working, let's continue to fund it. Let's increase the funding because it's working. When things don't work, you start to look at, and you have a much higher scrutiny of what's going on in the school system, what's going on in the classroom. You start asking questions. Where's the money going? When you look at NPS's, let's call them the administrative state, all the high, over $100,000 earners at central office, but how much money is actually going toward the classroom and the students and the programs that could help or maybe, change the outcome. So you start to question leadership.
Okay. I want to take a rebuttal to this, honestly. Jordan.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Question for you.
Yeah.
Because this kind of goes both ways. What would you say in response to
I actually agree.
Okay.
I agree that there has been historically an issue with accountability and transparency around funding specifically, especially now, at least in the last administration, specifically at NPS. Obviously, with some of the financial issues that are happening. So I agree that there needs to be better accountability for what that is, and there needs to be more metrics. They need to adhere to the metrics that are there in place for them to do that. Again, but the issue still is on my notes. I said what are the best examples across the country where you see successes? The best successful across the country in public school systems and where you see robust investment in programming and housing and some of those other issues around education that will catapult pedagogy in the schools. So I think that, again, across the country where you see prime examples of what's happening, even if you look at, a Waukesha, again, like they're not just doing out there because they have private partnerships. They are investing in their public educations. Their public school systems are good because they're getting quality funding and they have investments for social different things within the school. Now, they don't have to talk about necessarily poverty and that stuff. But if you look long term, how did they get in the position to do that? There was investment in those families who have home ownership programs and different things like that. So it's the investment piece. But to your point, to answer your question, the accountability and accountability and transparency does need to improve.
I agree regarding when we say where's the money is going and how it's being spent, but it's not party related. It's because if we want to say that it's both sides of the yard. We got policies that's being created that hinders part of the funding coming from one party. Then we have another party that's where the accountability piece isn't being lacked. And so it's like, to me, it's not about which party isn't giving us enough. It's about the fact that the Black community, we're not getting enough across the whole line when we're looking at it from a nonpartisan standpoint or a non-party related. We send out the most money, we produce the most revenue, but yet we get the short end of the stick. So it's us as a people need to look at why is it that our school system's failing. I'm a living example of that. When I was in high school, throughout my entire school education from elementary through high school, I was in foster homes, I was in shelters, going days without eating. You cannot expect for kids to mentally succeed or physically succeed in school when we're worrying about what we're going to eat today. When we go home, it's
Trauma.
the life is going to be there.
Right.
It's the trauma that we looking at in both parties. Me as a registered Democrat and as well as the Republicans, we overlooking that piece plays a major factor. Housing stability, home stability, not having that in place, our school gonna continuously fail.
I'm sorry, I don't want to jump in. I'm sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
You sure?
I think, yeah.
Again, to me, it's a poverty issue because take the Black. I mean, we focus on Black because we're Black men and we grew up in the city. We love it and we want to see our city prosper and grow.
Right.
But take Black out of it. There's white communities across this country who are having the same issues, actually who are doing worse
Yes.
because they have poverty issues
Yes.
and they're not getting adequate access to the resources that they need in their schools. Now, how they vote is a different way. Whatever, they vote against their own interests, but that is a real thing. And we always put these conversations around and put this big light on the Black community when we should be focusing and making it race neutral and saying this is how do we fix those people at a class level to fix these issues and then we can see it. But the problem in this country is, again, people don't want to talk about it's a race issue, right?
Yes.
It's
Agreed.
we handle public education like we handle public entities or other institutions in this country with race versus looking at it with a race neutral lens. And that's all I'll say about it.
Okay. Second question. Start with you, Orlando. Do you support school choice even when it results in underfunded public schools serving mostly Black children? Yes or no?
Yes,
You do.
I do support school choice.
Okay. And why is that?
So I believe parents should have the opportunity to find the best educational apparatus that works for them and their student. Be it a great public school, a great voucher school, which is a public school, or a charter school. I'm sorry, vouchers are the private school, but a charter school is a public school as well too. I think it's parental choice. Let them figure out what's best for their student and what works for them. Now, when you say statements that the voucher program or choice program takes money from MPS, actually, the voucher program is actually funded differently. It's not the same funding. It's tax revenue versus the traditional funding of public schools. So it's not the same money. But I will say there's a battle with enrollment. When the kids are leaving the public school, now it becomes a question of, can we afford to keep this school open? So you may have an argument there. But I think, we need to have parental choice or whatever, for parents to find what works best, because every kid doesn't, won't work well in a public school. Some like a religious-based school, some like maybe a heritage-based school, like the Native Americans have their school, the Muslims have their school, the Jewish people have their school, right? And most of those are all choice schools. I think we have a deeper issue. I think when you look at the funding, choice schools are the lowest funded per pupil versus charter versus public schools. So they are funded the least of all of the three major apparatuses. They have to have a really robust fundraising, but their per pupil is less.
Okay. So just want to make it clear that you do support school choice,
I do.
even though knowing that the results of it underfund public school. Right.
I would disagree just on.
You would disagree that it underfunds.
I would disagree that I would agree with you that the kids coming out of the school will have a direct impact on the bottom line for an MPS school. But I believe the money should follow the kid.
Okay. Stacey.
I would like to say that if school choice worked the way it was promised, then why is Black students in Milwaukee are still graduating at some of the lowest rates in the state, after decades of this voucher program being in place? That's my question in regards to you, Mr. Orlando.
Gotcha.
If school choice vouchers really work after 30 plus years, why is it that our Black communities is still graduating at the lowest choices? The majority of Black students in Milwaukee still attend public schools. School choice pulls resources out of those schools without fixing the conditional issues that's within. So I get everyone likes to say, oh, I want to be able to give my child a choice to go to a school, but you want to send your child to a school where they're going to be traumatized and harassed on a regular basis if they are the only African-American in that school, but they get the better education. It's like we
And
get
that
this thought process of saying, and Republicans love to lean on that. So it does the Democratic Party, where they talk about how the voucher program works. We've been having this voucher program for over 20 plus years, and we still have the same results in the Black communities. I'm concerned about Milwaukee as a whole, but I'm mostly concerned about the African-American community, because that's the community I'm a part of, and that's who I care to make sure is succeeding, because I have Black kids. I have a Black grandson. So
You got a grandson?
yeah, I do. My
Pawpaw,
old,
yo.
yeah,
Pawpaw.
yeah. I'm Pawpaw at
Pawpaw,
39. Yeah, my 20-year-old.
Hey,
Yeah, my
Younger
20-year-old.
than me.
He has a yeah, my 20-year-old got our
That's
grandson.
about right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Okay.
my little roadie.
Yeah.
So I'm Paul also.
I can say about the granddaddy role, it is a lot different for parents because you can give them back.
Sure. So my rebuttal will be this. I never said in my statement that the choice school was doing, so much better than public schools. Because if we're transparent, they all doing about the same.
Mm-hmm.
Because the kids
I'll give you that.
the same
Did it
environments,
Right.
right?
Even have to go there.
So the question goes to this again: funding. And I also would say the kids are not traumatized, at least not in Milwaukee. The vast majority of the voucher or the school choice program are 85%. I'm going to give out a number: 85% Black. Mesmer, all the Lumen schools, all the Catholic schools in the city, those are mostly Black kids at the poverty level. So to say they're being traumatized because they're going to all these white people, most of those schools are Black operators. Then we also have the list of the church schools, the Black church schools that we have from Holy Redeemer. We had one over at the Evangelicals out there off of Good Hope Road, Early View.
Early View.
Those are all church schools, right? So
Christ the King.
Christ the King. I think the overall issue, again, these are the same students coming from the same poverty issues that, so none of the schools are really doing as a mass. You find great pieces here and there. You find a great public school that actually is doing well. You find a great charter that's doing well. You find a great voucher school that's doing well. My only contention and my submission is this: let the parents decide on where they want their kids to go and let the money follow the kids.
But I think to Stacey's point, correct me if I'm wrong, Stacey, when you're saying that kids were traumatized, I think we're talking about when kids are being
We're
sent
talking about outside of, because just over the last decade, they just started building schools in the inner city of Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Mesmer High School wasn't originally all 75% or 85% Black. And plus Mesmer is right in the inner city of Milwaukee. So
correct.
it's part of NPS. So when I say going to those, out of those,
Not anymore.
I'm
no.
talking about schools in,
I thought Mesmer-
I'm talking
All
about
private schools.
schools
Okay.
that's outside of the Milwaukee
Right.
County, where when we were in high school, where our parents were trying to send us, Waukesha, Tulsa East, Tulsa West, those types of schools where they were given choices that's not part of NPS. That's what when I say the traumatization. Yes, during our high school times, yes, it was only 1 or 2 Blacks that were going out to those schools. And yes, it was traumatizing when you be in every name other than what is given.
Wait, Tommy, you can repeat this because I can't remember. This was to you, Orlando. Said those schools that you named are not Black operated; they are Black.
That's
It's a
That's the
huge
difference. That's a huge difference there.
Right.
So
Okay, so we just got a comment in saying that the schools that Orlando mentioned are not they're not Black. No, they're Black operated.
they're
They
Black.
are not
populated.
They're not Black operated, but Black populated.
Yeah.
Is that correct? Which is the difference?
So I'll look at
And that came from Tommy. Thank you, sir.
I'll look at the church. Look again at the
Oh, yeah, he
church
knows.
schools, Holy Redeemer, Early View. Those are all Black schools operated by Black people by the Black church. Mesmer definitely is a lot of white. I would say a lot of white teachers. Overall, I would say this: you teach is a major role in the schools. If you look at the number of blacks in those schools, even in the choice schools, there's still a high number of black teachers, black principals. One of the
I'll give
crazy
you
things
that.
I saw is when
true.
a lot of MPS teachers would retire, they would go work for the private schools in the voucher program, and they would run the schools. So I think, again, you have black, I guess say in this way, liberal leaning white people running those schools. And so still you get the education that you will, I think people want to see. So it's not like the white man in the schools is teaching the black kids, those are some of the most liberal schools you'll get on what they want to do in the classroom. The Lumen schools, what's the other big one? I can't figure right now, but it's a ton of these schools. The Catholic schools, these are, black populated. You see black leadership in those schools, and so that'd be my response.
Okay.
To the question from the panel, from the listener.
Okay. And last question here says, what responsibility, this is for you, Orlando, what responsibility does your party take for blocking education funding increases that would disproportionately benefit black students?
So I think I go back to my earlier response is that, again, it's about accountability and the results. If anything is this, one credit I will give MPS. MPS has been trying to find something that works for years. And they don't lack ideas. They are very creative, and they've been trying. And that's the thing about it. That's one thing I can say about MPS. Every year is another program they roll out, hoping to address this or that, and the other.
How do they roll it out though? That's part of the issue.
That's the issue, right?
It's the rollout. Yes, I think we all would agree to that.
I wouldn't disagree with you, but
We're agreeing again, y'all.
I wouldn't disagree. But again, I think this is not about us trying to cut anything that is successful, because again, ultimately, if these young people are not successful, we as taxpayers have to take care of them one way or the other, either through the prison pipeline system or the welfare system, or any way. We want to see people successful, but we cannot continue to say fund me more, or at least return the funding I get, and then increase the funding because we got one more idea we want to do. I think you have to look at some of the size of MPS. You may have to consolidate some of these buildings that are empty. You have to also look at the number of young people with IEPs that we need to address that if we can. And one of the biggest pieces, I say this, when you don't have working parents, that plays a role, because everybody has to be motivated. If you really want to see kids change, get the parent to work.
Get the parent to working.
Can you elaborate a little bit
So-
on that? Because I'm against that part
so
where
if
they
you-
always say y'all always like to push off onto the parent and make it seem like the parent is absentee or something. And that's what the Republican Party always like to lean with. They like to say the parent, get the parent involved. Like, did you know that in the black community, parents are more heavily involved than any other race in America?
So then let me ask this, and to state, because it is a true statement, but as an addendum to your statement, Stacey, what can you say, Orlando? Because I have heard that
Sure.
a lot with Republicans saying, well, if parents work. What have you seen, or is there any data that you can point us to that shows that, black parents are employed, the children exceed this way?
So,
Or if the black
can't-
parent is employed, the children in NPS will, of that employed parent succeeds A, B, and C.
So I don't have this in front of me, the numbers in front of me of like what is success when you see two parents working versus, a single family mother or dad who's not working. But the information is out there because it breeds success. Parents will hold their own self accountable and their children accountable. If dad is working every day, dad has now a stake in the community. He wants to do better. He wants to buy a home. He wants to do all these things. And for his child not to perform, he's going to be more in tune to say, hey, in this household, we all got to do work, son. I don't want you in the street life. I want you in this life. I want you to do. So all that morale. So you have to also, you want to talk about trauma and all those things. When you don't have nothing going on, that's kind of tough, right? To be self-motivated, because most people are followers. Most people are followers. And that's the thing about it. When you have kind of groupthink sometimes, and we kind of commiserate kind of where we are, it has an effect on the young people behind you. But if your outlook is positive, if you're encouraging young people and your children to get an education and you value education, and I said this, I think last week, why in the world would a parent believe in education if they went through the system themselves and they still didn't see success? Why would they say, yep, I'm going to get my kid in school because look at how good it did for me? I think again, having a testimony to say, I went through this system, I landed a great job out of high school or went to college, whatever your path to success was. Having real life experience plays a role because we're beyond now our greats who didn't go to school, but they knew if white people, racist white people, didn't want kids to get education, then there must be something there. Like my grandmother couldn't read, right? My granddad couldn't read, right? But at the same time, they valued education because they knew if the racist white people didn't want you to get it, there had to be something to it. And reading was something was freedom because you have to read the Bible and things like that. So again, I just harken back again that when you have parents who have something going on, because we lost that right now, because you can get education, right? So we lost that motivation with a sinister ideal because again, when our greats said this racist white man is not letting us get education, there must be something to it. So we're beyond that now because now we have the schools. We have schools are open. So what's motivating the kids now to go to school? Especially if the parent, her or himself, didn't find success. You must have success in the household. You must find success somehow, some way.
I'm gonna do it.
I like the
Okay, yeah. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do a real quick rebuttal myself because I am a live person who I was the only one working in my home. My wife did not work, but we both put our kids to school and they are doing amazing. So just to say that just because both parents are working doesn't always say that their kids are going to be successful. It was even better that my wife was not working because then she was able to go up to the school. Hold on a second. She was able to go up to the school when needed to. My kids weren't that bad. Kids would be kids at times. So sometimes we need to respond. Sometimes we need to go up during the day. Sometimes she do pop-ins when I could not be working and in school.
My response to this is real quick.
So I'm just saying that
they had you. So you were the breadwinner. So you drew a line on what success looked like. You all made a conscious decision that wife is going to be home with the kids. Daddy's going to work. Everybody has a role and a job to do. That's all I'm saying. That once you have that type of programming in a home, be it that dad works, mom works, whoever the case may be, there's a different. It's just like having a renter's mentality. Since I don't own this house or this apartment, and I don't know if I really care about it all that much. But when I became a homeowner, I said, "This is my neighborhood."
No such. That's not a renter's mentality. That's just. Because
and I rented my house for 2 years before I bought.
I don't agree with
most renters.
And I was able to get my security deposit back after 10 years for a reason.
Most renters have, I don't, because you have a problem with being a very transit community. That's why we don't have community, because so many people move so often, so quick. The whole idea of evictions and all that moving around, I'm a kid of evictions, right? So when I lived in a neighborhood, never got too close to the kids. I never felt like the community was really my community because we were, one check away from not being here. And so you never become to have a stake in the community and say, I belong here. And that plays a role.
Thank the Republican Party for that.
So
yeah, you can you but that and
I want to add a rebuttal to that piece.
Because it feels
right.
It was implying that
only six,
and I guess the way you just said it,
family successful,
Well,
you got to be working.
It's just the way that was implied. What I'm saying, because I'm saying that we weren't two working people, and my wife wasn't working because she was medically disabled. So that's why
I get what you're saying, but that's not the reality.
Stacey rebut, and then Jordan, then we're gonna move on.
I get what you're saying when you saying in regards about sometimes having a parent in the home working does add motivation, but it also if that's what you basing the whole thing off of, that the parent, it has to be the two-parent working home, or the parents has to be in the house working to motivate the child to be successful. What families are y'all talking to? Because in my household, not all the time everybody wasn't working, but look at how my brothers and sisters turn out. We are a living example of foster kids who mom got high. She was what we call a social smoker. She went to work and did her thing on the weekend. So, and then at times it got to the extremes where it just went on blinges for days. But my brothers and sisters, we didn't have that structure that you're claiming that is what makes kids successful. My sisters graduated high school, college degrees. I'm a 3-time college grad. Yeah, I bumped my head along the way, but I don't agree with that. You have to have two working families in the home to feel motivated. If you have someone who that is what you said. You said if it's parents in a home who's not working. You said even if it's one or it's none at all, just because someone isn't work, a parent that is not working in the home isn't going to motivate their child not to want to be successful. I just don't agree with that Republican view as how they always try to lean.
So that's
and
not a Republican view. It's my view.
It's
my
the philosophy that's taught.
That's not
Yes,
where I
you
got
got
it.
it from them because that's
I
what they
got that.
lead with.
No, I
They
got
lead
it
with the
from-
broken the broken black family, the
Where I
broken
got it
home,
from-
the welfare.
What I got it from my grandparents. So for you to insinuate that is out of line. That I believe in a 2-parent household. I believe that men should be working. I believe that some of the mom should be home. I was motivated by the understanding of what the old school traditions were before I ever knew what a Republican was or a conservative, because those are just good family values. And that instilled in me a sense of community by watching my grandparents modeling what my granddad did. He got up every day. They worked every day. Every Saturday we had to go cut the grass. So having those role models and having those great coaches in my life said, this is what a man does. You take care of your kids, you raise your kids, you put them in school, you work hard with your kids. And seeing that motivated me to say, well, that's what men are supposed to do. We go out here, we bust our butt for our children, we make sure they're in school, we make sure they're taken care of, we protect our wives and our children. So that's why I got it from without.
All right, because I'm like the way you delivered it,
Well,
it wasn't sounding like
well, it
that
wasn't.
moral philosophy. It was more so like, yo, if you ain't working, ain't doing nothing, you ain't gonna motivate your kids to do nothing. That's what you
The
said
ones
in a
who-
nutshell.
And you find very few kids who are able to, and kudos to you and your family, but you find very few kids. If you remember now, most people are followers.
You have data to back up that
You
statement.
find very few people who are able to be self-motivated. Those are very rare people, because you can look at the graduation numbers. You can look at this number of kids who attend school, the level of truancy and delinquency. Those kids who are highly motivated themselves are hard to come by. I'm not.
It's
you know,
not though.
you-
It's not hard to
you-
come by. I know a
Again,
million
well,
people
look
that's
at
in that
the-
philosophy. Let's look
I
at
just
the
look
two
at-
parents, kids who's failures,
So
who are
again,
mass
you
murderers.
look at-
So we
if
can't
we-
base it on
if
that.
we- If we had the stat people here, you can look up the number of kids and success on how many kids come
Let me
from
look it up.
a working class family, be it a mother or dad working, and their level of success versus the number of kids who come from, like, let's call them highways earners or rich people who are successful. Having two parents or having the motivational factor plays a major role. You talk about trauma, y'all talk about trauma all the time. When you are a traumatized adult, you traumatize kids. So to say that that somehow not having positive reinforcement don't have to have it, kids are children. You got to tell them to watch their behind every day. They don't come home and just naturally open a book.
You never mentioned anything about positive reinforcement. You flat out said that, hey, 2-family homes.
That's the best.
That's what you. It's not though, because not everybody has a 2-family. I believe in structure, but it doesn't have to be a 2-family home to have that structure.
I mean,
Yeah.
he would-
Period.
Correct.
But my question is, so how do you feel about Republicans basically not even offering a decent income for people, where they can have a work-life balance, where they can look over their children? How do you feel about that?
So,
Because they are team go to work, everybody, kids, everybody needs to go to work.
so I think you look at the economics in most urban communities and what the employment, world has to offer. Republicans are more free market. If a private company wants to pay $27 an hour, hey, by all means, that's what you want to pay your employees. Republicans are just against having government influence to drive wages up when an entrepreneur may not be able to pay that much. He can only pay whatever, he can pay. So, because I think this is more of a minimum wage, living wage question. I can tell you that my program that I'm co-founder of the Joseph Project, the least earning person that comes to our program is going to be at $18.75. No experience necessary, right? So again, we just don't like having government to do a whole lot of pushing in the private sector. Let the job and the market itself play out as far as what a wage can be earned. Also, you have to have freedom to say, you know what, and self-value to say, I'm gonna get more out here in the job market. I can't stay here. I can't raise my kids, because ultimately that employer is going to lose out on great talent. He's going to lose out on great people, and they're going to soon fold.
Yeah.
George,
So
you got a
I mean,
response to that?
I don't even know where to go, but I think there's
I want to say something real quick.
Yeah.
So you said 1875?
$18.75, I think
So
that's
it
low.
said in Milwaukee, a livable wage for one adult, no children, $20.09.
Okay.
right.
It says one adult, one child, $37.65 an hour. So
And
what you're offering
Well, again, I will tell you this.
That's for, and you
I
said
would say-
18-year-old?
Anybody, I will tell you this, that the employers we work with, tons of overtime, tons of opportunity. Because right now, can you find a job in Milwaukee paying you whatever you just said in
Yeah.
Milwaukee?
And that,
So that's my point.
so that, so yeah.
And these jobs I'm referring to are not in Milwaukee.
So that to me, just to wrap it all up, that's the bigger problem. So,
Yeah.
and
And that's funny. We're talking about this because that's the next
Yeah.
segment. But go ahead and
So,
give
like,
your answer.
it all goes, you know, you guys were having a conversation around traditional values. I look at it as that's a conservative traditional family value. And there's some credence to that.
If you believe it's conservative.
No, but it is in
It is,
if you look
though.
at the time we're in. So having a traditional structure where most of the families don't have traditional structures anymore. We could argue why they don't, but the reality is that they don't. So we have to find solutions around how do we create jobs that are going to be able to afford people a quality of life, right? And there has to be government intervention because the private sector has shown that they're just not going to come in here and say, hey, we're going to give everybody enough
A
money to
livable
livable
wage.
wage. So what
Right.
it is. So we have to address that first and just can't say,
Agreed.
hey, we need to have a family person in the house. Yes, I, from a single mother,
Mhm.
all my brothers are successful, went to school and did stuff. We had values, to your point, where education was a value, and we had mentorship and other males, to your point, role models that we had in the home, if not in the traditional
Does your
home.
mother go to school?
My mother, she went to high school.
She value education.
She valued education,
There you go.
but that I'm agreeing with you. We had examples, and education was a value. The problem is in this city specifically right now. Again, we have a generation for whatever reason where that value is not an impetus for these kids anymore, and we have to figure
What
out
value?
why
All
that
they want to do
is.
is just go to high school and finish.
We have to
It's
figure
like,
out what that is.
y'all want them
right?
to run on the same principles we've been running on. Not everybody wants to go get a college degree.
Fair
Not
enough.
everybody
But
want to
even-
do that, but because they don't want to do that, the one party likes to say because this generation does not like doing that anymore. Oh, it's chaos. It's wild. Do you know how many successful young people we have that only have a high school diploma?
Right.
So it's like we have this notion that we have to force everyone to go off to college. What about trades? Not everybody want to go
I support
sit
it
in the
wholeheartedly.
class.
And then
I'm a firm believer in the trades.
You agreeing with him?
can I go back before y'all? Because
Oh,
I just
yeah.
wanted to, I mean, and this all goes back to the quality of education, right? We were talking about this private or choice school, right? We wouldn't necessarily need choice and all these different options if we went back to what we were supposed to when the law around separate but equal is there. The reason we're in these situations now is because when we separated, the resources did not equitably go to those school systems and have not gone equity to those school systems. So we can fix all of this stuff if we can find a fair and equitable way for us to properly fund a lot of these schools so that they can do that. And to reduce, yes, MPS needs to reduce the amount of schools they have. Yes, they need to figure out what the teaching amount needs to be. There's a lot of tangible solutions that we could do, but to the leadership part, we haven't had courageous political leadership across the board who are really going to tackle those issues from either side, right? And so we
'Cause they
need
too worried about standing in them
everybody's too worried about standing in seats. We
Yeah.
got the union who's working for their own needs versus the students' needs. We have the teachers and all those different things. So we have to get to a point where the ultimate solution is what's best for the students. And if that's going to a choice school or a charter school, we need to figure out a way that's fair for them to do that.
So I went to a private school, Morris Brown, private college. Our historical black colleges are mostly private schools, So
Historically,
and I ask you this: we do know how school choice was created, right? Polly Williams, Gary George, and Tommy Thompson. Polly Williams, a Democrat, led the charge for school choice in this state. Actually, was one of the forerunners for the school choice model that black on some levels we could say it started here in Wisconsin. Its original intent was for these school inner city kids to have a voucher to go to these private schools that they had the chance to have a different or a better education.
why did they need to go to the private school?
Again, doing with Howard Fuller, during that time as well too. One of the big things you had that MPS had a historic level of white teachers back in the day. MPS hadn't always been a black, kind of blacked out school system. There's had a ton of white teachers in those schools and white leadership. The guy said earlier about MPS was black populated, but white ran.
MPS
It still is.
is still
Still the same.
black populated and white
Right.
ran.
Right.
The leadership may be black or of color, but it's still
Leadership, the
most of the
gatekeepers.
teachers in NPS are white women.
So again, I would just say that the origin of school choice came from a black woman. She led the charge, Polly Williams,
You say that to say what?
to say that giving people options, and she felt parents should have an option of what school the kids can go to. A black Democrat, a strong black woman Democrat, who was one of the biggest voices in the legislature, got Gary George, another Democrat, and also Tommy Thompson, who all agree that this model, and I think they initially started with private religious schools,
Mhm.
and then they expanded to this private schools, period.
But it was started because of the lack of proper funding and the lack of proper resources and educational that was in the school system for the underserved communities. That's the reason why that black Democratic led that sin is that we're emphasizing the black
What
Democratic.
she actually gave parents a choice.
It wasn't even just
She gave them a
give them a
choice to
choice
choose
because
to
you're
go to-
underfunding. Tommy Thomas is underfunding.
That's not
They underfunding
So-
NPS at the
so
time.
again,
Choice
we-
was also choice has never been on the per pupil cost as public schools. So to say that she created another system, the system that she talked about didn't get more money for those students. They got less than too.
But
as it is today.
sure. So when was choice created? 1974, whatever it was. I don't even know.
Let me look it
I
up.
think it's a little better.
Actually, it was like 92. Actually, it was in early 90s. Okay, late
I would-
80s.
I would say
Something like, I don't know. It's after the 70s. The point is, when do we get beyond? This is what the intention of it was supposed to be. We are living in 2026 now, and the schools are operating again obsoletely because we're trying to adhere to policies and a structure that existed back in 1992. We cannot do that anymore. So we have to
What's-
figure out a
what's
way.
public schools?
Public schools, the public education in general.
Okay.
Sure. We have to figure out an innovative solution on how do we get back to what the intent is supposed to be. The intent is supposed to be, how do we educate our communities, black and brown communities in this cities? What does that look like? I don't care if the intent was supposed to be for a selection to go out there. How do we get most of our 80% of our black boys in this city to go to schools that are well funded and well properly
You
adhered
got to get
to?
the parents motivated. You got to get them involved. Yeah, because I think a teacher. First of all, teachers are just humans. They're not superhuman. They're just humans. They can only teach to what shows up at their classroom. So parents are the biggest teachers because they are the ones who instill and enforce what the teachers are trying to do.
Right.
Until we can get success for the parent, and that's hard to do, and they got to find some success. And so, sticking to your trauma issue, how do you motivate a parent? Again, I'm going back to that whole working concept that some may take offense to. Parents have to get some wins too.
Yeah. And so to answer that, we have to stabilize. So we have to look realistically at what's happening. We have, again, a generation of youth, 2 generations now, in my estimation, who are just following out there. But then we have a generation of parents who are our age who we're struggling too. So how do we stabilize that through housing, through stabilization programs and workforce development so that we can get the parents the skills they need so that they can be marketable for those jobs that are going to allow them to be in the house and stabilize that community and home ownership opportunities like that. That is the issue. And what we're seeing right now is, to make it partisan, is an administration, or not even administration, because we can look at the state level. We're looking at a conservative legislature who is trying to rip all that funding out that's going to create stability for what we need right now.
Mhm.
And that is the core issue. And I think that is what people are starting to realize, because it's starting to hit their pocketbooks.
So the new question is stability, not affordability.
It's
Stability.
affordability
So
and
that goes all
stability.
into it.
You
So
can't
that-
have
affordability and
So
stability
when
is-
you look at
one and the same.
the,
almost.
if you're going back to your previous statements, and I've always supported trade schools. I said that last week. 15-month training programs with the military, police force, all of that. Let's find your way to be successful. So stability, again, how do you bring in jobs and economic, the economy here? You got policies here in the city that are unattractive to companies. We have a crime rate that is, really not the best to attract, a Fortune 500 that can hire people.
But we have how many Fortune 500s in 500 companies in
That's
Milwaukee?
here.
We have those
We
companies
have
here.
Okay, so
all
again,
downtown,
so
Northwest Mutual.
So what's the connection that Black folk can't get into those jobs? What's the disconnect there?
Because they will argue that they're not qualified, they don't have the training. Okay, here's a broad idea. Why don't you take your asses into the schools and create pipeline programs so that you can create a feeder system from 6th grade through 12th grade, where when they come out of high school, they have an option to get a job into your firm or go to the military, do something like
I would
that.
say you definitely have some career or stakeholders in the community, because I've seen some myself when I told you guys 2 weeks ago when I went to Tech. And so all the donations from all these big Milwaukee companies, great equipment. So I think you do have those partnerships here. Also about education, when I was there, I told you guys this too. Over 75% of the kids are not even there for the trades. So most of the equipment is underused or not used at all. So how do we fix that when you do have community partners?
But do
who
you
actually
have
lean in?
data? Because when we spew data, I like to have things validated, because you got them thinking 75% of them kids at Tech don't want
Well, I got it from
be there.
I got it from. I just said they didn't want to be there. I just said they didn't come for the trades.
If we went into the schools, and so for example, at the Urban League, we're starting an investment club. We're starting an investment club because our community doesn't traditionally know about that. I'm actually still the president for the Milwaukee Urban League. I'm professor.
My goodness,
So-
my goodness.
Nah,
But-
What's your problem with the Urban League? Because it's because
Long time ago.
Is
But
I'm a
my
member
point
of
is,
Milwaukee.
is that
my
an
point
anti-DEI thing type thing? Is that
my
what that,
point
is that
is
what you mean?
one of the best paths to wealth accumulation is through investment. Our communities don't talk about those investment type of opportunities at a young age. These white people talking about it. So we have to get our community into the game at an earlier age. So we are creating an investment club and using actual stock market manipulation and those things that they can learn from 6th to 8th grade, so that, or 6th to 8th grade, and then 9th to 12th grade, so that then they can build up equity and they have, again, opportunities when they get out of college, because they have some investment built up to do whatever they want to do. If they want to go to school, if they want to start a business, they want to buy a home. Like, those are the things that we have to systematize. It can't just be one program here, one program there. It has to be targeted efforts from a systemic level with government intervention and private intervention to say, this is what's going to lift our community out of these issues right now. And until we start having those larger conversations, we're going to be having the same conversation 40 years from now. I'm 43 years old. These conversations were being done with Dr. Howard Fuller and
Right.
everybody at NPS 45 years ago. The solutions are there, but it
So
goes
why
back to
have
the
they-
decisions of leadership to have the political capital to do these things.
So having an investment club is not political capital that you have to spend as if that's something
You
know,
have
so-
it takes money to create an investment club.
Well, hold on, because if that's the
Gotta have
case,
funding, sir.
so again, if you want to have, who's investing the money? The people?
So I can tell you who invested in us.
Who?
So the Milwaukee
membership
Brewers Foundation
gave y'all some money?
gave us some money to pilot this program.
Okay, so
So that's the
again-
public partnership there.
again, this is what I would say. You have a lot of those things, because we just said there wasn't no collaboration. I just told you it was a collaboration. I saw all these great companies at Tech, right? So again, the first to stop the bleeding, you got to get parents working.
Stabilize. That's right.
Stabilize.
Yes.
Where this notion that parents don't got no jobs? Why you keep saying?
I mean,
that?
but
don't
to
get
his
that.
point,
So look at
about
the
part about
unemployment
the
rate
parents don't have a job.
is
And
increasing
it's
right
not
now.
the unemployment rate of the Black community.
Who we talking about then?
But to his point, the numbers do say that there is joblessness. There's higher amount of joblessness in the Black community, specifically in Milwaukee.
I don't even know why we're debating that.
We're not. I mean,
We're
I'm not
debating at all.
agreeing with you.
I'm
That's
not debating
what-
that, but
that's
you
a-
said you keep
that's a-
bleeding with it. Let's get them
But
jobs.
we have to figure out.
I want to pull up the
we need to get them
unemployment rate for
jobs.
the
But
Black
what type
community
of
in
jobs? What
Milwaukee.
kind of
So-
trainings do they need?
What came first?
Because that's going to lead
Chicken
into our
or
next
egg?
discussion
Oh,
topic. So
yeah.
anyway, so yeah, let's move forward, because what we're talking about actually leads into the next set of questions we have. And this, I know earlier I had one up about housing segregation, but I want to go. I'm gonna skip past that if it's okay with my producer over here, and I'm gonna go to the poverty and economic opportunity section, and then I'm gonna try to get back to the housing segregation part. Not we can just finish that next. I really want to touch on this one because we kind of threw out a lot of different things. So first question, Jordan, and you can just lead with this.
Okay.
Says, do current Wisconsin economic policies benefit Black families? Yes or no?
Current economic
Wisconsin economic policies.
Wisconsin economic policies benefit Black families. I think there's opportunity if we knew what those policies were and how they impacted our lives. Just part of the issue.
Okay.
I think that there is argument to say that if we knew and we took advantage of what those actual policies are, we had access to them, we were able to understand them the way that other populations do, then yes, we can see examples of how successful Black people in Milwaukee have taken advantage of these policies to self-improve their own lives. Again, it's being selective. How do we take that and scale it and make those policies broadly impact a greater number of people across the board?
Okay.
Is that, I don't know if that's answering the question, but
I think you're deflecting.
I
can
can deflect every once in a while. But
I mean,
on its face,
because you said you did say you didn't know of any specific policy, so you did answer that part.
I mean, it had to be specific to, like, because economic development could be housing, it could be financial markets, it could be a lot of different things. It could be jobs. So again, if we were able to utilize and take advantage of the system the way it was supposed to be, that we see other communities do, then we would have much better buy-in. Would have a lot more success in our community.
And then that leads me to this question for you again, Jordan, as Democrat on the panel. It says, what accountability measures exist when Democratic programs fail Black?
Well,
There's none. I'm sorry.
well, there are guardrails, and I think the opposite effect that is that, you know, last couple of years we had Black leadership across the board, and then we had some issues with COA and the SDC and all different organizations because primarily financial issues and accountability issues, right? Again,
Yeah.
to your point, leadership. What's the question again?
What accountability measures exist when Democratic programs fail Black communities?
Yeah, I mean, right now it doesn't appear like there are any, honestly, and that needs to be addressed and changed.
Agree.
Because that is part of the system that is failing our community. And I don't necessarily say that's the Black or Democratic leadership that does that, but when it happens, it makes us all look even worse.
And it ain't just Democrat. It's
And then that
both
leads-
sides of the aisles design is set up for the Black community not to succeed. So it's not just the guardrails not in place on the Democratic side, but it's also no guardrails and all of the long-term policies being pushed through the Republican-led legislature and the Senate. So that all plays a factor in on both sides. There's no accountability held by one, and no one is checking those policies that's being pushed by another party. So
Okay, Orlando, do you know of any accountability measures that?
I think the accountability measure for me is the results.
No, I said, do you know if
So-
any measures exist when
I think
those
the
programs fail?
The measure,
Yeah. What accountability measures exist when Democratic programs fail back? Do you know of it?
Oh, I mean,
I think
okay.
again, I think the accountability piece is those programs fail, they lose state funding, they lose federal funding because they have failed. That's the accountability. People get fired. You see SDC, and they lose their charters. I think far too often it takes too long for the accountability piece to be caught up with and say, you know, we're giving money to programs that are not being successful, or in my opinion, we grade success wrongly. We grade success so often on how many people are enrolled in the program versus how many people are being actually leaving the program and
Yeah.
graduating. That's how you should
Okay.
measure performance instead of not enrollment. I remember doing a couple of walkthroughs of some of the housing authority buildings here. You know, I'm here in my own capacity, but I have a federal job for a U.S. senator and
And who's the U.S. Senator again?
U.S. Senator Ron Johnson. But I'm here in my own time. These are my thoughts, not his. But
You
they wanted
had to say that.
I make sure the disclaimer there. But they wanted to say our success is to look at how many people we got enrolled at the low income housing. Look how many people we got, and therefore we need more housing. We need more funding coming because look how many people we got. I said, well, how what's the number of how many people graduated because they got a great paying job and and left?
Mhm.
We don't track that.
Yeah.
I said, wait a minute.
Yeah. So let me. I do have, because you rephrased it. You didn't rephrase it, but I thought about it differently.
Okay.
I think you stopped being a shield. That's what happened.
And I'm not, and this is going to probably upset some people too.
Don't upset.
We Democratic, especially, and to your point, argue is the Democratic leadership. We have to get out of just voting for Democrats just because they're Democrat and they look like us in this city. That doesn't mean that the leadership is. I actually like some leadership in that some of the black leadership we have right now, but that doesn't mean that for years that we have just allowed leadership that have not been effective and have not actually made results because they are part of a system or they're beholden to corporate interests or whatever it is. So the accountability measure is saying if you don't do what we want to do, which goes back to another point, if we don't have an agenda for them to have in the first place to hold them accountable to, that's on our fault. That's our fault. So we first have to have something that we're asking them to do, and then we have to hold these leaders to the fire and say, if you're not doing that, we're going to vote you out for the next person who's going to do that. And then that means that we have to vote for people who are candidates, who are running, who are speaking our language and saying, this is what we want to do to the community.
Correct.
So
that'd be tough.
It will be tough because our community doesn't pay attention.
Well, I think
Right.
you look at the people that vote, and you look at just the mass of people who don't vote, and then you have that conglomerate of people that always will vote, who actually control who gets elected.
Yeah.
Milwaukee is a union town, be it city union, county government union, federal, state union. So when the unions get behind a candidate because they know they're going to show up, it is hard to get people who don't vote to get engaged because they don't either see the value of voting and voting doesn't hit them home, doesn't bring it home for them. And so any up and rising candidate has to go knowing that in certain blocks of your district, that person has 1,100 votes off the top or 800 votes off the top because they're unionized. And, so I believe that I'm with you, Jordan, that, you might upset some people. But I just don't know if the system is ripe for upheaval of, breaking away from the old guard as far as an old guard thinking. Tonight, you all talked about all these ideas and how Howard Fuller thought about this financial plan 40 years ago, but it hadn't never happened. Why? Because
Fuller was an activist at the time, and it was created in 1990.
I'm just saying.
Clarify.
I'm just saying the thing you talked about, the financial literacy piece or whatever. Why did it take 40 years, and it still hasn't been implemented? It sounds like Jason Field, a Democrat, passed and got voted because he's a kind of a moderate Democrat. The state legislature supported a statewide financial literacy program, or at least the initiative.
Because Lakeisha Myers' bill, right?
I don't know, it was his bill when he first started.
Okay.
So I know that was his bill that he got passed. But did the schools implement them? I don't know. You can say, well, they don't have the funding to implement another financial literacy, another class or whatever. Again, when we have control of these apparatuses and these institutions, we should be able to control, going to my Democratic far left buddy over there, parents should be able to control the curriculum. If we want a financial literacy class, we want a financial literacy class in our schools for our children. And that school board representative needs to do it, or we vote you out next time. We don't hold elected officials accountable at the ballot box.
So let me ask you this. Sure, all that is true. Why is there a need on a state level for us to have legislation to create that?
Right.
Because our community, I grew up in a family where we want to have financial literacy in the classes. Why does it take a move by Congress, by the Assembly, to make it okay for MPS or public schools to put a financial literacy program in the program? I talked to Jason Fields about this actually. There was resistance, not just from the legislature. There was resistance from the legislature for that, but there was also resistance from some other people.
You can name them.
Right.
There was some. We ain't gonna say names.
There was some resistance from the union for that. The reasons are monetary, whatever it is. We don't have the resources. Cool. Still, question still is, why does it take an act of Congress or Assembly to say we're going to put this program into the school when the community has been saying for years they want it? Which then, to contradict your point, then if that's the point, then we don't actually have community control of these schools.
We don't, because again, you look at, and we talked about parent involvement. You look at the PTA night. It's what is it? 10% of parents show up for that. If that, but
PTA meetings.
PTA.
That's because they at work. They got to work 50,000 jobs to survive in Wisconsin.
But look at come game night Friday night though. Are we there for that?
I wouldn't say that.
Not all parents, not like,
no.
And you can't take away from them supporting that child. Then we say we want the support, right?
Again, we we need to be supporting things that our education and getting the curriculum we want in the schools. And you don't do that by only having 10% of parents show up. We need to be parents need to get engaged. And we want a financial literacy in class for a class in our schools that shouldn't have to come from the state legislator. That should come locally.
Yes.
And teachers and the school board should say, we hear you parents loud and clear. We'll do it.
Well, that's where again, and I think what Jordan was talking about, speaking of just a few minutes ago, about how we do hold that power as people to go to as voters, to go to these school board meetings, because school board meetings are mostly held open and they are held quite often. I don't know how often, but we do need to do and exercise that right going into these school board meetings, making ourselves present. I think last time they had a school board meeting and it was a whole bunch of people there because it was some drama with Mosley.
The new superintendent, and that was last year.
And then before that, I'm speaking of an incident where I saw on Facebook
the referendums too. That was a big
and
one.
then they had posted that they just hung him out to dry, but then it was like people came for that. But you're not coming for these regular meetings. You're coming to this drama stuff, but you're not coming to the stuff that you really we really need to be showing up for.
Civic engagement is not the best, and that's how
It's not. I would say that
Civic
it's not.
engagement is not best because that's
It's not.
designed for them not to bring that to our community. We got over 100,000+ African American eligible voters just in Milwaukee, and the reason why, to me, and this is my opinion on that from the outside looking in, the reason why the voters are so disengaged is not because they want to be disengaged. For one, a lot of them don't have time to really be engaged. That's why it's people like us that should be informed of them, what's going on, and giving them the lamest talk, because not everyone can go sit in y'all. It sounds so realistic to say, hey, they can go sit in that school board meeting and get their voice heard and across, when 9 out of 10 of them parents is either working still at work or working 2 jobs just to pay that high ass rent, excuse my French, that these slumlords is charging them monthly. So I get the plight about the parents going there, and we have more than 10% of parents, but life be life, and for a lot of them, and to get to the point is that we have to not always expect that every parent is in position to come to these school board meetings or understand or even feel like they vote even matter. I knocked over literally over 2,000 doors over the last 30+ days gathering signatures. And the same thing comes out of their mouth. It's not that they don't care about voting.
Yeah.
They feel that they vote don't matter because it's the same people every single election cycle. It's that gatekeeping. It's like we don't like to put it out there. We like to just say, hey, it's party line. No, it's flat out gatekeeping on both sides of the party.
And to that point, I was having a conversation with somebody today, and I was saying they need to have term limits, first of all.
Yes,
on
absolutely.
every level. But I was saying, because the world has shifted the way it shifted so vastly and so quickly, I believe that anybody who's been in office, anybody who was in office before 2010 needs to retire on both sides. At every level, because to the old guard is so entrenched and they are not receding power because they don't have to, right? Because people aren't going to show up and all that stuff. But until we make that move or make them change up and we get new people in there with fresh ideas and start doing things, we're going to continue having a lot of these problems because we're not addressing some of the other different things. So I think that is something that we have to try to push and think of. It's not going to happen, but we have to think about.
I mean, it can happen.
Who are some of these elected officials in Milwaukee who have been in office for 10, 15, 20 years? They might be doing great, Democrat or Republican. But hey,
if you've been in office for more than 3 election cycles, you need to go.
If you talking about the same policy from 1998,
yes,
I don't need you in office for me.
Times have changed too much. And to what you said too, Jordan, and to what I'm going Democratic here, and to what Stacey said, I looked at the election of Zoran Mondani, in New York. He ran as a Democratic Socialist, which a lot of times that don't get you that don't get you on the ballot or even elected sometimes because of the old guard. It's like, well, these policies don't work. I love a lot of the ideas that he was talking about, because that was one of the races outside of Wisconsin I actually followed intently with the purpose of just want to hear what he's talking about and see what this was going to come out of.
You have a socialist on the Common Council. You have a socialist on the common council.
But here in Milwaukee,
Yeah, a white boy. Full-blown socialist.
Is that
who you talking about?
name?
I don't know the guy. I know one of my homeboys ran against him, but yeah, he's on the common council. Yeah,
So I think that to you guys' point, who?
he did.
Oh, yeah. I think that we do need to start looking at some of these policies that actually
Yeah.
speak to what's going on today. What's going on as you used to call them kitchen table topics. You know, those kind of things that can speak to people and get them active. Because again, with I was stumbling for Stacey. I got some senators for him around my neighborhood, and a lot of people were saying the same thing as he was saying when I was knocking on doors. Oh, you know, or when is the next election? I didn't know. You know,
Or
we
who
don't
is
hear
our
anything. We
elected
don't.
official. We
yeah,
don't even know who they are.
And
So it's like,
the 10 people that I got
they play
on your sheet to say what you were saying did not know who the supervisor was in District 7.
and they play on that.
And did not
so-
know what they
Right.
did or nothing. And a couple of people I did take the time to explain what the supervisor does and who the incumbent was. A lot of people just don't know. So we do
and it's
suffer from a
designed
lack
that
of
way
knowledge.
to keep
Yeah.
to continue to keep with the same flowing cycle. I swear, if you go on the Milwaukee County's website and pull up the 2026 election paperwork, you're gonna see no one been contested except for the district I'm running in, District 2, and one
Said
other
a lot.
district. It's literally only 3
Said
out
a
of
lot.
18 seats being contested. Throughout my entire time of me collecting signatures, me been promoting that I'm running, do you know how many people have said to me, and including coming from the incumbent, that they wasn't ready to give up the seat,
Was
or
it,
I didn't know they was giving up the seat,
Felicia.
what's the
Felicia
issue
Park,
that you
yeah.
have with the current incumbent? Like that was, and this is coming from my own party members
Well-
as well as other party members, and it's like,
Yeah.
those seats is ours.
Yeah,
I don't
there-
care what party you with.
There's
that seat
some of-
belongs to
there's
us,
some of
the
that, too.
voters.
You better understand whose beak getting wet here, my friend.
Mhm.
There's a reason why those individuals are saying the things you say. Because again,
Absolutely,
this is a union city, man. If you without that union support,
bro. I'm on the executive board of the local 212, so I'm part of the union.
Did you get their endorsement?
And I'm getting their
Oh.
endorsement. Yeah, I'm gonna be getting their endorsement.
Yeah.
Good.
Real quick
And-
too, what the and I just want to read a couple of comments. Is that Cam Beats is Tommy? He made mention of exactly what you said, Stacey. Is that no, excuse me, Frank Williams, not Cam. Frank Williams said that look at the balance about half the time there is no candidate to run against.
Mhm.
And if we do look
It's
at
the
that,
same
it's
thing,
the
let's be
same
real.
thing over and over again. Yeah, that's
The
a lot.
2024
That's a lot.
election, the same ballot had the same individuals, and also too, we got to fought ourselves. We got over 100,000 members in District 7 and lives in our district. Only 6,197 people voted. Some wards didn't even vote at all. They're taking advantage of that. They're looking at that data when they're making decisions on how they want to move and who they looking out for. If you ain't no voting more, they don't give a shit. Look at your ward. Look at your area. Prime example of that, Ward 47, Ward 46, that is in District 1. That's part of the county District 7. You want to know how many people voted in those 2 wards?
How many?
6 people in Ward 47 and only 3 people in Ward 46. They look at that. You want to know which ward had the most votes? Cooper Park Ward 18, Cooper Park Ward 38, not 38, 192, 193. They all had over 300 plus voters at each one of those wards. Guess what they get in exchange for their voting? Because they're thinking, hey, I can use that vote. They're going to get out and push. They're using county funds to repave that whole little park area.
Oh, and someone just asked, so why doesn't anyone push about other elections and the presidential ones? Because like now the Senate seats are up for grabs. This is the time for us to vote the people in who most look like us.
Well, I mean, and what's the question? What's the question again? Well, I mean, again,
We did.
And it shouldn't always be the person who look like us. I'm so tired of
Here-
it. I'm not never gonna vote for somebody just because they look like me. I want to know what your thought, what your ideas is, and what you bring into
here's
the table.
the issue.
And it does come out, and it does come down to funding,
Yeah.
money. Is a candidate able to get themselves out there to advertise? Say, hey, April 14th, primary is coming up. Does these candidates have that funding to do that? And a lot of times, off-season elections, outside the presidential elections, are not heavily advertised.
They
You know,
not,
sometimes people don't even know that election is going on.
because it's
you know.
designed that way
Mhm.
to keep you in the dark, so that way they continue with the same flow. Could you imagine if everyone in the county of Milwaukee was aware of every single election
Yeah.
cycle?
I would
Sharon,
just
like-
I would just argue or just put out there that the last couple election cycles on a national level for sure. You know, and I'm not just talking about presidential, I'm talking about congressional races and Senate
Mhm.
races. We have had some of the most progressive, diverse, well articulated, well funded candidates who are fighting the status quo. And what happens? We don't get out and vote at the levels we need to get those
We
people
need
in the
to.
office.
Yeah.
And
So
That's true.
there has to be
true.
accountability on
push.
both sides. We need
Yes.
good candidates who know what they're talking about and know what they're doing, and not just getting in it because they want to get in it, right? But we also need to figure out a way, those candidates and the whole apparatus, to figure out a way that we're engaging our communities in more civic engagement so they know what's in their best interest.
Yeah, like forums, like having conversations with the candidates other than
Yeah, but even that, we plan forums all the time, and Alpha
when
Phi
I say
Alpha, the
forum,
greatest
I'm
fraternity in
actually
all the
a
world.
I'm talking about a real conversation
Yeah.
and not that
But it's
and
hard to get people out for that,
mediocrity.
though. It's,
Yeah,
it's
because
hard to get people
they
out
know
for
there's
that.
going to be the same setup,
Yeah.
the same kind of conversations. I don't believe in I don't believe in tradition, and
Right. Yeah. And I
when
think
it comes
that's
to how we pick our candidates, we picking the same, excuse my French, the same motherfuckers, and look where we at.
yeah. And I think that, you know, Orlando said last week or week before, give you some more kudos.
Oh
Around
Lord, we're doing it
what
again.
the Republican
true.
Party did, putting their office at MLK and going out into communities and doing that. You have to be visible. You have to be present,
Correct.
and you can't just be,
Correct.
you know. I'll take the Urban League. Just can't have. I say this all the time to the Urban League. We can't just have meetings at the Urban League and expect people to be there. We have to show up in the community where they're at. We have to go to the barbershop. We have to go to the clubs. We have to do social engagement. We have to do things
I
that
be
are
in the
going to
clubs
to
talking
tell
about
people
my campaign. That's
what we're
how
doing,
serious
right?
I am.
And even
That's
we
what-
don't we don't have to have a whole 30-minute soliloquy around what's
No.
best for them, whatever. Hey, this is what I'm doing. This is what we're doing. We're at
5
the club,
minutes.
whatever. Let me buy you a drink. And that is the
Get a DJ
Your
$20.
elevator
Hey,
speech.
get a DJ
That's what we need
$20
to
to
do.
let you hold the floor for 2 minutes. Hey, look, I'm gonna let y'all get back to partying, but
Right.
hey, we got an election coming up in a couple months. Let's get out there. Now let's turn it up.
right.
And then to the folks that's commenting too, that's in here, I'm gonna ask too that we that you guys like and share these videos, these discussions. That does help put information out there so that we can have these discussions. People always say, well, people don't talk about this, we don't know nothing about. Well, you got a forum, a platform right here that we're talking about the issues. So just make sure that y'all are liking and sharing and spreading. Yeah, we're doing this. Yeah, coming up on a year, we're gonna have to do something special. If we do it outside or something, I don't know. Weather dependent. Yeah. But yeah, we want to make sure that we that y'all are sharing this information because we got forums, we got places, we got our own that we're having these conversations. These things are happening. We just got to do our part to make sure that we're sharing it. Oh, yeah.
And can we
Yeah.
instead of just giving our votes, instead of just giving up our vote, can we really start exchanging? Look, if you want my vote, what you gonna do for us? It's like we don't never come with that. We just give our vote just to give the vote, just to say, hey, I voted and get the sticker. But this time around, let's come with the why should I give you my vote? Especially if they're an incumbent that been in office for 50,000 years. Why should I continue to keep putting you in that seat? Because let's be real. They're not expecting for a huge turnout for this spring election.
No.
Let alone they're going to be more so focusing on that state election because I see it coming from both sides of the aisle, both from my party and as well as from the Republican Party, where they're pushing the state election and they're throwing there about, oh, we got a local election too. Me as a Milwaukee resident, I want us in here to be pushing for this local election, regardless of what political party you tie with. We are affected just as well, like we are on the state level, but we are more affected from a local standpoint.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm trying to emphasize to us as a whole. Like, look, we can't continue to just focus on the governor's race or the Senate race or the presidential race. That's what the narrative they push. So that way you don't have no attention when it comes to how you've been affected locally.
Yeah. No,
That's what we get.
get out.
Get out.
And we're gonna do more of this. Like I said, I'm really Yeah. Frank is running. Frank Williams said he's running for a panel seat. There's no competition. Like I said, make sure. So, Frank, hey, if you want to come on, if you want to come through and talk about what you're running for, the actual panel seat or whatnot, this is a forum for that. I do have to say, and I did not know this, but Tommy made a quick comment, and then we're gonna wrap. And if you guys are you guys able to come back next week? Because I do have a set of questions that I didn't.
You
get
coming
to.
back? I'm only coming back if Orlando comes back.
Yeah, I have the wife, but she was like, every Tuesday.
Well, I mean, you did say when I first invited you. You can come on. You was.
Well, I didn't think y'all gonna take me up on my offer.
Oh no, we ain't never scared now.
All these Democrats in the room. So I was like, I don't know if y'all really want to hear me because I tend to set things on fire.
You did all right today.
Yeah.
Actually, people have been seeing you in a different light.
Yeah, you did all right today.
Yeah, you did all right today.
I tell you, when
That's because he ain't no
You know what
true
that is,
Republican.
though? Because he just can't say stuff on Fredder anymore and not have anybody respond to it. That's why.
So I think this kind of forum works, Tay. I think this works.
And
I
he's
think
not
this
a
is our new
true
format.
Republican.
I think you did. I think I'm gonna have to defer to you going forward. But I do have to say,
He's
and I
a
did not-
moderate Republican.
I did not know this, but Tommy made an example, and can someone because I had did a show about Mandela Barnes about possibly running, well, not possibly because he is running for governor, but Tommy said that Mandela had a forum at the Sherman Phoenix, and the black population said he didn't come through enough to talk to us. I'm gonna assume that was probably during the time he ran for the Senate. They said he showed up and he kicked off his entire campaign in the city, and they said people blacks still blamed him for not doing enough in our community. And I was one of those. I did not know. I'm gonna say this right now. I did not know that he had any kind of footprint
He didn't.
in Milwaukee.
I'm
I'm very engaged in
like
what's going on.
everybody. I'm gonna just be quiet.
So I would just say that I didn't know.
Yeah.
And if he had something here, I definitely would have known it. But because I'm engaged in all kind of local
I
elections,
seen the
here, so
peanut
I didn't
butter
know.
and jelly.
I mean, that's a commercial. I'm
seen
talking
that,
about.
but I didn't see.
I didn't know he had
other
nothing here.
connection to the city of Milwaukee. Let's stop sitting here lying like,
Yeah.
he was involved. No, he wasn't.
Yeah.
And let's just be realistic. They just assume because that everyone assumes because they're black, we just supposed to throw our weight behind them. And
A lot of times we do that.
we do that. And
We
that's
do that.
what
Yeah,
the
we do
problem we have is we always
No,
put.
not all.
But
They like
somebody,
to run on that. We got
So what's the
2/3 of our
question?
somebody in the comments did say that Orlando looks like us, and he wouldn't vote for him at all. I'm just saying. I had to say that. But so what we gonna do?
There's some truth to that because
He said,
again,
"Stacy, you wrong."
I'm wrong. Okay,
That's what
I could be
Tommy
wrong.
said.
Tell them that's fine.
Yeah, that's fine. And I could be wrong too, because I swear but y'all let a racist win. I
We
did
let
not
the
know.
races.
That time, so he must be referring to he must be referring to the Senate race. Gotta be.
Senate race. Oh, yeah.
I didn't know.
Yeah, I voted for the brother. I voted for him, even though
I voted for him too.
I voted for him, but like I said, I'm standing firm. I did not see anything that showed that he did a kickoff of his campaign here at the Sherman
Are you
Phoenix.
saying for the impeachment that's coming?
oh well,
Yeah, he is gonna be
that's a-
impeached.
that's
That
a foregone-
orange hair gonna be
That's
impeached.
a foregone conclusion.
And Kanisha, thank you for your comments too here. Again, we do need to just hold people accountable and when we say people look like us, we kind of need to sometimes get away from that narrative.
Right.
You need to look at the person that's
Why?
talking.
I
Is
thought
that
we're
on-
all a monolith. We
that,
all think alike.
No, well, you heard what they said about you. I'm just saying. Yeah, we should, because it does represent. Yeah,
Right.
we gotta have
Yeah,
representation.
we need representation.
We
We
need
need
representation.
competent representation.
But
We need
Competent
competent representation.
So,
we
I'm
need.
just
We don't need the
saying-
gatekeepers that look like us because like they said, what they put out a press release, 2/3 of our elected officials is black. So if we're gonna
Yeah.
have people that look like us, we can't continue to keep letting the gatekeepers who look like us in those rooms.
Yeah.
I ain't saying now. I'm not saying open the door for everybody.
Or
now,
let the
because
gatekeepers select who people are running.
let the gatekeeper. Why we allowing
The interview I was there when
that
Debbie came down.
Yeah.
They don't want us.
Oh, okay. I did not know.
If
Okay,
he
thanks,
did-
Tommy. I didn't know. I swear I didn't know. I
It
didn't
probably
know.
was what? Oh, a podcast.
And I was on
That
him.
ain't no kickoff, but okay.
Yeah, I was on him about that because I on my right hand of God, I did not know of him having any kind of footprint here in Milwaukee when he ran for
That's
against
why he didn't get the
ag-
Milwaukee vote.
against his boss over here, U.S. Senator insurrectionist Ron Johnson. So, but we're going to go ahead and wrap tonight. We want to thank everybody for coming again. Please, yeah, no, wait for what?
Let's not get into Ron.
Okay, yeah, we're not. Because I was
talk
going.
about that asshole.
Greatest senator
That's
ever.
hilarious.
Shoot.
Greatest senator ever.
So thank everybody for coming tonight. Again, like, share these kind of forums that we're doing because we're trying to get as much as information out. I'm gonna do all I can to make sure that the community is aware of what's going on. We're going to continue to have our panelists that come in with us, Mr. Orlando, who is our resident Black MAGA, Mr. Jordan, who is our Democrat, and also Stacy, who is our Democrat as well. Travis Clark, we still doing some.
Yeah, where you at, Travis? Come on through.
Travis.
We still doing smoke signals for you, so I don't know where. I don't know. He's a Facebook warrior now because he's all on Facebook posting all the time, but he don't never want to answer no inbox or text messages. But I'm just saying. So yeah, so make sure y'all come in. They say, Tommy said that his forum here packed the entire upstairs. Again, I don't. Yeah.
You wasn't in the know.
Did-
Just
yeah,
say
didn't-
you wasn't
Man,
in the
that
know.
was a good guy.
Yeah,
I didn't know. I didn't know.
I don't believe it.
And I don't know how I missed that,
Black community
but
like
I did. So okay,
Well, you
cool.
was-
Everybody entitled to their opinion.
Right. So
How
y'all-
about we just leave it at that? Everybody they can have their
I'm
thoughts.
listening.
Mr. Tommy in there believes he's an excellent choice.
Hey.
We with him. He's a Democrat. That's all I care who wins. A Democrat.
Vote blue or not anybody who.
Yeah. He's a primary.
Yeah, we
He's
team
primary.
Crowley, but you know,
Oh, speaking of,
I just want a
real quick before
Democrat
we
to
go,
win.
I had a chance meeting of talking to County Executive Crawley at Mayfair, and hopefully he'll be a guest on our show soon. I put out a couple of feelers with. I got his personal number. So I'm just waiting on him to clear his schedule. We can come
Mess around and lose that
and talk.
race.
I don't think so, but y'all come back next week. We're gonna do a part. I guess this will be part 3. Tay,
Yeah.
we're gonna do part 3 because we had a whole bunch of other topics to cover, but we kind of got stuck up on one thing. But yeah, y'all tune in next week again. Share this information with folks. Call folks. We always on Facebook, social media. Tell folks, hey, we got a forum here that we can come and talk about our issues, and have varying opinions as we see here of the panelists about what's working and what's not working and what's a good solution. So y'all just come on back in. Stay blessed, stay safe, and y'all have a good night.
Hi, Mom.